Hi, Martin Kelly of Quaker here, and I'm back from California and the Convergent Friends workshop, and I think it was real great. And one of the folks I got to meet there was Chad Stephenson, who I interviewed once before, and you should be able to find that up there on Quaker. But after the interview, he said something which I thought was really kind of profound in a little small group I was with, and I wanted to get another interview with him, and our time ran out. So here we are, live via the internet, bringing him back. Hi, Chad. How are you?
Hi, Martin. Fine, thanks.
Good. And there's another special guest with us, is there?
Yeah.
Aww. Who's our guest?
That's Emma.
That's Emma. Aw. Nice to see you, Emma. Great. And when we were there, we were in small group sessions for part of it, and you and I were in a small group, and you had this great analogy about finding an old jazz record that was a sort of new old jazz record. And I wondered if you could tell people a little bit about that jazz record and what it meant to you and sort of where it fit in sort of modern classical jazz canon here.
Right. So we were talking about sort of what it's like to engage with Quakerism in the sort of modern era that we're in now, and it reminded me a lot of the jazz album I listened to as a kid, which was a collection of standards by Wynton Marsalis, and at the time, I guess I didn't really understand the idea behind the album the same way as I do now, but he was, what was surprising was I was listening to the record as a young person, and I was actually hearing a lot of the old standards that I didn't really know those songs at all. And as I got older, it was really fascinating to sort of discover that those were the really big jazz pieces of the past 80 years or so. And he was playing them with a group of guys that were maybe 21, 22, and they were trying to, they were actually just amazingly, the mastery of those songs was incredible for some people that were so young. And I was trying to engage with 350 years of history being very challenging, but because there's so many historical figures from Quaker past, and there's just a lot of deep roots and multiple branches on the tree of Quakerism. And what I found was that listening to that jazz album, I was learning a lot of history of jazz and really engaging with the past through this young person who was reinterpreting it for us. And his ability to do that really brings out the excitement and reinvigoration of the classics and the classical roots of jazz, and to watch someone or hear someone perform them so well and effortlessly with a group of 4 or 5 other people that are in their early 20s was just, I look back on that and realize that at that time jazz was struggling a lot, and it had broken into many branches, and people were disagreeing about what jazz is and what jazz was and what it ought to be and where it's going in the future. And he really brought it together and created something new out of reviving the past. And so it seemed like Convergent Friends or Quakers coming together over their past and trying to make up a lot of bridges, build a lot of bridges between all the branches and the strains of Quakerism. It's been really helpful to do, but at the same time very challenging because it requires a lot of mastery in order to overcome all those divisions that have occurred over the years and really bring people something new, something fresh from the past.
Right. So one of the descriptions you gave was that it's sort of bringing this this old-time jazz back to a new generation. There have been these sort of different types of jazz, and they're all going off in their own little corners, and that kind of root of it, where did this all come from, had been kind of forgotten. And this new generation of sort of new old jazz performers were sort of looking back at where it had come from. So
right? A real healthy appreciation and a real respect for the past and a real understanding of it. It's amazing, important.
Right. And yes, it sounds very relevant here to some of the work we're doing. So thanks for sharing that story again. And thanks for coming on here and trying this little experiment too, a little video experiment that we're doing. Thanks, Chad. And we'll have links up to your blog and to your Twitter and everything else. And people can find you and ask even more questions there of you.
Okay. Thanks, Martin.
Okay, thanks, Chad. And let me see if I can come back to me. There we go. Okay, so Quaker is a place where you can maybe learn how to practice your neo-convergent jazz scales there. So thanks for joining us, everyone. Thanks for joining us, Chad, again. And we'll see you online. Thanks.